Andrea is going to come and read to us from Matthew 10 and from 2 Corinthians 3.
Matthew 10 verses 40 to 42. Anyone who welcomes you welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet as a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person as a righteous person will receive a righteous person's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones, who is my disciple, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward. And 2 Corinthians 3, verses 1 to 3. Are we beginning to commend ourselves again? Or do we need, like some people, letters of recommendation to you or from you? You yourselves are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. You show that you are a letter from Christ, the result of our ministry, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts.
Every act of welcome becomes holy when done in Jesus' name. We've been walking through Matthew 9 and 10 over the last few weeks, and we've seen him call the unlikely and send the willing and prepare the faithful for the cost of discipleship. And last week's message was really hard because Jesus was speaking about division and resistance and the courage required to follow him. And now, almost like a cup of water to a thirsty person, he gives us these gentle words. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me. Even a cup of cold water will not lose its reward. This is Jesus lifting the disciples' heads. This is Jesus saying, your faithfulness matters. Your presence carries my presence. Nothing done in love is wasted. And Paul echoes this in our little verses that are going to carry us through the summer. You are a letter of Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God. So firstly, to welcome God's people is to welcome Christ himself. When Jesus says this, it is astonishing. It is absolutely amazing. And he just drops it in like a little bomb into the world. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me. He doesn't say, whoever welcomes the impressive or the powerful or the perfect. He says you, ordinary disciples, dusty from the road, unsure, still learning. Abraham welcomed 3 strangers. He offered water, rest and a meal. And when you actually dig deep into that passage, you'll realise that he didn't just welcome them for lunch, which took 30 minutes to prepare and 30 minutes to eat. He got an animal slaughtered, so there was a feast. And so that would have taken all day for that roasting to have taken place and everything. So when he welcomed the strangers, he was welcoming them to an extended period of time. And only later did he realise that he had welcomed the Lord himself. Hospitality became holy. Or we can look at Lydia in Acts 16. When she welcomed Paul and Silas into her home, that simple act of hospitality became the birthplace of the Philippian church. A kitchen table became a sanctuary. A guest room became a mission base. So this is Alan. And you might think he looks a bit grumpy, and you'd be right. He is a wee bit grumpy. So this is from 541 Eatery. It's a food bank that I follow in the States. And it has its regulars, and this is Alan. He's a senior citizen. He lived across the street. He had no family nearby, and he carried a familiar grumpiness with him that somehow made people smile, because you also can't look at him without smiling. There is something engaging in that grumpiness. It's almost like you want to take it off him or something. At the community Christmas dinner, he insisted that anyone within reach sit down and listen to him, no matter how busy they were. So the volunteers, the helpers, anybody that was walking past, come here, sit down. And but it was just his way of connecting. And he made sure that people felt seen. Because if you're volunteering, you can feel invisible in any situation, but he made them seen. Sometimes he would go to the Sunday services that were held in the cafe, and he liked them, though he made it abundantly clear that he would never be baptised. He said, because I am not going in no water, no siree. And then during the pandemic, neighbours tried to keep him safe and keep him at home, but he was determined to get out there to meet people and share with people and all of those things. And he was part of the cafe's daily rhythm. He arrived every morning like clockwork, and his presence made the space feel safe and familiar, and he was a gentle anchor there. He cared in small ways. He thought there should be a clock on the wall, so he brought one. He had Kleenex and he had batteries and he had cough drops in his bag, so that if anybody was in need of anything, he gave them to them. The items didn't matter. What mattered was the quiet message behind them, which was, I see you, and thank you, and be well. He passed away. But what happened was that the volunteer who was writing about this said that no matter where they went for the following weeks and months and years, people asked, oh, you work there. That's where Alan goes, isn't it? And so it was always about, like he'd connected with so many people in his grumpiness. And so he reminds us that even the smallest acts of welcome carry the weight of heaven itself, just as Jesus teaches us in Matthew. There is something around cleaning a public toilet. I have this thing where I like to leave a toilet how I would like to arrive at it. And so if there's tissue on the floor, I pick it all up and I put it away. I use their cloths and everything, and I clean the bathroom, and then I go away. It's a thing that I do. I just think that, if you're rushing, you haven't time and you just want to. So anyway, it's just one of my things. You might have something that you do. I have a friend who walks around with a little kit like Alan, and there's a toothbrush, toothpaste, a flannel, some wipes and things like that. All little things, hygiene things. And when she's in Cork City and she sees someone sitting on the street in a position of homelessness, she offers them this pack, and it's just a small act. And that brings me on to the second point, which is that small acts matter. A cup of cold water becomes kingdom work. I think Jesus is not just astonishing and amazing. I think he's very deliberate. He chooses something so small to share with us, to say, this is what it means to meet me. A cup of cold water. Not a feast, not a miracle, not a sermon, but a cup of cold water. Think of the boy who went off to listen to Jesus with his little bit of lunch of loaves and fishes, and this tiny little offering that he offered into the family group. His child's lunch became something that fed 5,000 people in Jesus' hands. Small acts become kingdom acts. Mother Teresa used to say, we do small things with great love. At Easter, at the eatery, they had an Easter dinner. They had 4 long tables and they stretched across the room and they pulled together with extra chairs, and they had little flowers and a candle on each table, just making it a bit special. And the space was then filled with the kind of good chaos that only community can bring. And so there was laughter and there was stories, and 2 guests that they hadn't seen in months walked through the door smiling. And they just started chatting as if no time had passed at all. A former staff member just went quietly into the kitchen and started washing dishes. Just their little act of kindness there. Somebody carried 2 dinners home like treasures. Somebody wore their suit because they thought it was special, and so they brought their suit. And they were holding an Easter card that they'd got through from somewhere else. And before the meal, they paused, like we would do if we had a community meal here. They paused and they said grace. They have their own prayer that they pray aloud. And somehow that ordinary work of setting tables and lighting candles and scrubbing pans was a kind of holiness. What would it look like if we did that here? If we had a community table here? In all of the shared food and the welcome, the promise of Matthew 10:40-42 comes alive. With every small act becomes a doorway to God's grace. So we can't talk about Jesus if we're going to be grumpy, if we're going to be shouty, if we're going to slam the Bible over people's heads. We have to do it gently. And I want to say it's my final point, but I think I've got another one. God honours hidden faithfulness. Nothing done in love is wasted. Jesus says he will certainly not lose his reward. This isn't about earning salvation. We don't offer a cup of water to earn salvation. It's about God seeing what others overlook. Think about Dorcas or Tabitha. She wasn't a preacher, she wasn't a prophet. She sold clothes for widows, quiet, faithful, hidden work. And when she died, the whole community wept because she'd made such a mark on the community. Her small acts had made a difference in their lives and shaped them. Or Brother Andrew, known as God's smuggler, he said, the kingdom often advances through small obedience no one else sees. Not dramatic moments, just quiet yeses. They had a celebration on Mother's Day. And one of the guys came in and said to one of the volunteers, love your mother while you still have her. Another person overheard a guest crying. And so the next day they came in with art supplies and said, could they have a little table set up so that people could express their feelings around this time? Because not everybody has perfect mothers and perfect daughter-sons relationships. Joy and grief. We often hold that together in tension. Gratitude and absence, connection, lost memory, sometimes all in the same day. So my final point is, bringing it back to the letter, bringing it back to the letter that you are a letter of Christ, known and read by everyone. People read Jesus in us, in our welcome and in our kindness and in our faithfulness and in our small acts of love. When someone welcomes you, they welcome the one who sent you. And when you serve someone, you carry Christ's handwriting into their life. You are not just doing good deeds. You are bearing the presence of Jesus. Every welcome, every kindness, every hidden act of love is seen by God and honoured by God and used by God. a cup of cold water is kingdom work. A simple welcome is holy, and a quiet act of kindness becomes eternal. So this week, may you know the dignity Jesus gives you. Whoever welcomes you welcomes him. And may you see that your own small acts of kindness, whether they're large or small, or public or hidden, are part of the letter that the Holy Spirit is writing in your heart. In the other picture, there is a broken window, because you all know that when you're on mission and when you're volunteering somewhere, stuff happens. And it's nasty stuff sometimes. And someone decided that they'd just smash the window of the cafe and make it really difficult. And this cafe runs on buttons. If you are affluent, or you're suddenly affluent or anything, you go in and you buy buttons, you hand over cash, and some buttons go into this jar. And then when you've got nothing, you go in and you take a button out of the jar and you pay for your meal with a button. So that's why it is run on buttons. So obviously they're always in that place of, do they have enough food? Do they have enough resources and everything like that? And so a broken window is just something that just deflates everybody that is in this place. You might if this is you might backtrack and say, what am I doing this for these people? If you're working in a children's club and it's descending into chaos, or when someone in the room seems far from faith, or when a prayer meeting turns into a critique or a brick through a window, they can all provoke all sorts of reactions. But the neighbourhood around the eatery, they came in with money and cash, and they were able to reopen. The community didn't just arrive with money though, they arrived with prayers and with generosity and with encouragement and with open hearts. And because of that outpouring, the repair was scheduled. In that repaired window and the open door that is behind it, this little passage from Matthew comes alive. The holy, hidden passage in every cup of coffee, every glass of water, and every welcome. So I'm just going to read it to you again. Whoever receives you receives me, and whoever receives me receives him who sent me. The one who receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And the one who receives a righteous person because he is righteous will receive a righteous person's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones even a cup of cold water because he is a disciple, truly I say to you, he will by no means lose his reward. And I just wonder, I'm just going to ask you, do you have a story like that? From a place that you have volunteered, from a place in church or outside of church. Share your stories when we have coffee afterwards.